So I was going to proclaim that blogging is dead. And the reason why I know this is that I've been following the blog traffic on the Reciprocity Project, and it has been steadily declining since the introduction of artificial intelligence. It used to be a lot more in terms of the traffic that it would get, but it has steadily declined because artificial intelligence, people are able to get those answers a lot more easier through artificial intelligence. And then I was thinking about, what is the value added? Because I think about this all the time with the Reciprocity Project, because I'm building this platform to help us be better researchers. And I'm constantly thinking about what is the value added of humans over software and algorithms, because I think it's an incredibly important part. I struggle with it because I see in maybe 30 years, things will be a lot different. It's probably likely to be a lot sooner than 30 years, but a lot different than the way it is now in terms of how things are currently being run. Just like 30 years ago, we couldn't anticipate things like social media, for example. We couldn't anticipate, um, the processing power that we have access to do some really difficult problems that I remember when I was in my undergraduate program in engineering, that it was just physically impossible to do some of these problems. So I was thinking about humans then, as one way to view humans is that we find and fix exceptions really quite well, right? Like computers do they do the same thing really, really well, and they produce the same thing. And I think, eventually they'll become better humans than we are, um, in the sense that they'll be more empathetic. They will understand human emotion quite well compared to a lot of people. Right? Some humans will still be really quite good at that, but in general, computers on average are going to be a lot more sophisticated than what humans can possibly do. And the reason why I think about this is I'm thinking about, what is the advantage of researchers and what we actually do. And I think it's really in this exception capability that we have of identifying exceptions or problems that exist, and telling software to go find those things and to identify those particular things, to go discover and search for these particular things. Um, the other thing that I think humans do quite well, that researchers do quite well, is have a aesthetic sense of what is appealing to humans and what is appealing to people and the environment. I don't think computers have that down yet, and maybe that we'll find that aesthetic, in the sense of finding the things that are appealing. It's not that computers won't be able to do that. I think they will, but there's a missing element of that, and that missing element is largely, um, the struggle that we feel, and I think that is uniquely human, that is somewhat difficult to replicate with machines. I know we could do this, machines could do it really, really quickly, and get a sense of what the struggle is by processing at high speeds and sort of doing brute force of finding things that will sort of pop up. But a lot of the environment that we're in works on the pace of humans, and that human struggle of combining, so the pace of, this is hard to get this sort of message out because I'm thinking about it at the same time. um, Humans operate at a certain pace, And we can leverage tools at our fingertips and do that really, really quite well. But there is a pace at which we can sort of leverage those tools and leverage the things that we can do. So even if, it's kind of at the frontier, I guess they would say, of technological progress. So even if we do have access to these wonderful tools, there's going to be humans that are doing it at much different paces across the globe and across, the countries that we're in, and they're all done at different paces, different ways. And what one would expect then is not necessarily sort of a universality of computers, these algorithms overtaking us, and replacing things. And although I think that some things like blogging, for example, may happen, but what also will likely happen is that there will be a greater diversity of different outcomes that are going to happen and a greater diversity of actions because of the sort of humanness of the struggle that we face, because some people do it much more quicker, and computers combined with computers and humans and human organizations, that there will be different paces at which this sort of sense of discovery can possibly do and identify different things because of the sort of uniqueness thing that is happening around the world. That there's all these unique situations that happen and unique contexts that happen in many different places around the world, in the universe as well. That we can identify these things at uniquely different times, and this combination of both, the amplification and deceleration of human capability at different rates based on each individual human capability and collective is still going to have a lot of room, even many, many years from now, where there's a lot of room for variability to actually happen, right? And there's lots of room for performance differences to actually happen, the things that we would capitalize on and we would, sort of praise or would like in a society, and that we would reward. So I think, even though, yes, I think human or machines are replacing a lot of different human type things, but there's still a sense of it. So, for example, with my blog, I know it's dying, but at the same time, there's a sense of the combination of me and my abilities that are part of this that make it interesting as well, right? So the reciprocity blog shares some of the insights that I have, amplified by the capabilities of computers and algorithms that were not possible a few years ago. So even if you go on there, that story that's being told is still a fascinating story that is unique to my combination of both, um, both of me and my sort of struggle and the pace of how quickly this goes, but also interacting with my ability to leverage artificial intelligence. So I hope this makes sense, and it doesn't make what I'm producing any less valuable per se. I'm not changing too much, but it changes the calculation a little bit. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.